The red carpet was electric that night. Cameras flashed relentlessly, capturing every shimmer of sequins, every carefully curated smile, every subtle glance that could tell a story far bigger than the event itself. The Marty Supreme premiere was supposed to be a celebration, a night where celebrities shone under the glare of the world's eyes. But no one expected the storm that was about to erupt, one that would involve a royal, a social media queen, and a moment that would ripple across the internet in minutes. By the time the night was over, the footage would go viral, memes would spread like wildfire, and millions of viewers would be left asking themselves, how could this happen? How could Meghan Markle, a figure who has walked the world's most scrutinized stages, find herself publicly humiliated in a way that felt personal, almost intimate, yet broadcast to the world? Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. Imagine the scene. Meghan, in her elegant gown, hair perfectly styled, her posture a careful mix of poise and nervous anticipation, stepping onto the carpet with the practiced grace of someone who knows how to navigate the glare of cameras and the whispers of press. This was her night, or so she thought. The premiere was a high-profile mix of Hollywood stars, influencers, and social media royalty, and Meghan was just one among many. But she had hoped, at the very least, for recognition, a polite acknowledgement, perhaps even a chance to mingle with some of the biggest names in entertainment. But then, Kylie Jenner appeared. Kylie wasn't just another celebrity. In the world of social media influence, fashion lines, and cultural dominance, she had become something almost untouchable. When she stepped onto a carpet, she commanded attention effortlessly, a living magnet for cameras and chatter. That night, her presence was undeniable. Glittering under the spotlights, flanked by an entourage that seemed to hum with calculated energy, she moved with an ease that spoke of years mastering public perception. And then Meghan approached. The request was simple, almost innocuous. Meghan, smiling politely, asked for a photograph with Kylie. A single moment captured between two figures who, in different worlds, often occupied the same public spaces. It was, on paper, a standard interaction. But what happened next wasn't. The answer Meghan received, delivered with an almost casual air, was short, dismissive, and unexpected. "I don't know you." Those words, simple as they were, struck like a lightning bolt. Not only was the rejection public, it was immediate, complete, and humiliating in its clarity. Cameras caught every second. The video went viral within minutes, and the internet exploded. Reactions poured in from all corners: shock, amusement, disbelief. Memes were created, GIFs shared, news outlets dissected the encounter frame by frame, and social media users debated, criticized, and laughed. But beneath the surface, there was more than a viral moment. There was a collision of two worlds, one royal, one pop cultural, each navigating fame, influence, and perception in radically different ways. What makes this story more compelling is the contrast in their worlds. Meghan Markle is accustomed to a life framed by rules, expectations, and the relentless scrutiny of both media and the public. Every gesture, every smile, every outfit is analyzed, commented on, and sometimes weaponized. Kylie Jenner, on the other hand, thrives in an ecosystem built on attention, self-branding, and the art of curating perception. Her world moves fast, governed by trends, likes, and viral moments. When these two realms collided on that night, the results were explosive. The public humiliation wasn't just about a single phrase. It was a cultural commentary on influence, hierarchy, and power in the age of social media. As the cameras continued to flash, Meghan's expression shifted subtly. Observers noted the micro-expressions that spoke volumes: surprise, disbelief, a hint of hurt, but also, beneath it all, a composed attempt to maintain dignity. For someone so accustomed to the public eye, the experience was jarring. But Meghan is resilient. She has weathered storms, survived scandals, and navigated the most intense scrutiny imaginable. So why did this particular moment resonate so strongly with audiences? Perhaps it was the simplicity of the encounter, a single phrase that could end a night, define a narrative, and dominate headlines. Or perhaps it was the contrast, the collision of royalty and social media royalty, a reminder that power is contextual and perception can be everything. The footage spread quickly. Clips circulated online showing Meghan's polite approach, Kylie's dismissive response, and the stunned reactions of onlookers. Every frame told a story. Meghan's vulnerability, Kylie's dominance, the energy of the crowd, the flashes of cameras. Social media users dissected every detail. Was Meghan too forward? Was Kylie justified? Or was this an exercise in social hierarchy played out for public consumption? The debate was intense, emotional, and highly polarized. Yet, the moment transcended simple opinion. It became a case study in celebrity culture, public perception, and the subtle but powerful dynamics of fame. For Meghan, the humiliation was immediate. For Kylie, the moment reinforced her carefully cultivated persona, untouchable, in control, and able to command attention with minimal effort. The event, which had started as a celebration of fashion and entertainment, had transformed into a spectacle of human interaction amplified by cameras and clicks. This was modern celebrity in action, a collision of worlds, and a lesson in how influence can be wielded in ways both subtle and devastating. But what made the moment unforgettable wasn't just the viral video or the media storm. It was the human reaction beneath it. Meghan's composure, tested to the limit, became a focal point for discussion. Observers marveled at her ability to navigate embarrassment in real time, while others speculated about the backstage drama, the conversations between entourages, and the private thoughts that could never be captured on camera. Every angle, every perspective added layers to the story, making it far more than a simple confrontation. It was a cultural phenomenon, a flashpoint in the ongoing narrative of celebrity and royalty, and a glimpse into the psychology of fame. This is where our story begins. What drove Kylie to dismiss Meghan so publicly? How did Meghan process this, not just in the moment, but afterward? What were the reactions from the press, the social media sphere, and Hollywood insiders? And perhaps most importantly, what does this tell us about the shifting dynamics of power, perception, and influence in a world obsessed with visibility? These are questions that cannot be answered with a single video clip or headline. They require a deeper dive, a look behind the scenes, and a willingness to explore the nuances of fame, image, and human behavior. The red carpet had been a stage for celebrities for decades, but that night, it became a battlefield of influence and image. The world watched, shared, and debated, but few understood the complex dynamics at play. Meghan's experience was not just personal. It was emblematic of a larger narrative about power, hierarchy, and the ways in which public figures are constantly negotiating visibility, respect, and perception. Kylie's words, brief as they were, carried a weight far beyond their syllables, a reminder that in the age of social media, moments can be immortalized, dissected, and weaponized in ways unimaginable even a decade ago. As the night drew on and the premiere continued, Meghan had to navigate the rest of the event, cameras following, whispers circulating, and social media ready to amplify every move. How do you maintain composure when the world is watching, when every action might be recorded and analyzed, when a single phrase has already defined a narrative? These are the challenges that Meghan faced, challenges that millions of viewers only glimpsed in snapshots, yet challenges that would leave a lasting impression on her public image. And yet, despite the humiliation, there was a sense of resilience, a quiet determination that this encounter would not define her entirely. Meghan is no stranger to adversity. She has learned, over years in the public eye, to process criticism, to navigate scrutiny, and to emerge with dignity intact. But in that moment, with cameras rolling, social media erupting, and Kylie Jenner standing almost imperiously nearby, the stakes felt higher than ever. The world watched, and the tension was palpable. The story doesn't end here. This moment, as shocking as it was only the beginning of a chain of events, reactions, and consequences that would unfold in the days, weeks, and even months that followed. Social media, press outlets, insiders, and fans would all contribute to the narrative, each adding their own interpretation, bias, or embellishment. And amidst it all, Meghan would have to navigate not just her public image, but the very real emotional impact of being dismissed so publicly by someone who occupies an entirely different, yet equally influential, world. The night of the premiere. This will be a full 2,000 plus word section, crafted to build tension, set the scene, and end on a cliffhanger that naturally leads into the next chapter. The night sky over Los Angeles sparkled with the kind of artificial glamour that only Hollywood could produce. Streetlights mixed with the glowing neon signs of the city, reflecting off sleek black cars and tinted windows as they rolled up to the entrance of the Marty Supreme premiere. From a distance, the event seemed like any other high-profile fashion gala. Celebrities arriving in sparkling gowns and tailored suits, photographers clamoring to capture the perfect shot, and fans lining the barricades, phones raised, hoping for a glimpse of their idols. But those who were there that night knew this wasn't just another red carpet. Something electric lingered in the air, a tension that couldn't be captured by flashes or headlines, a quiet buzz that hinted at the drama yet to unfold. Inside the grand entrance, the carpets were perfectly arranged, velvet ropes guiding the elite into the event hall. The music thumped softly from strategically placed speakers, setting a rhythm for the night. Attendants in black suits and gowns moved with practiced precision, ensuring the environment remained controlled, polished, and visually stunning for every photo, video, and story. Every detail mattered. Every moment was orchestrated to appear spontaneous, effortless, and undeniably glamorous. And amidst all this, Meghan Markle stepped into the spotlight, her presence immediately commanding attention, though perhaps not in the way she hoped. Meghan's arrival was carefully calculated. The royal-turned-celebrity knew how to make an entrance, how to navigate cameras, and how to maintain an air of sophistication while avoiding the pitfalls of public scrutiny. Her gown, a flowing silhouette of subtle elegance, had been chosen not just for style but for the statement it made, poised, approachable, yet undeniably regal. Her hair was carefully styled to fall in soft waves, framing her face in a way that suggested both sophistication and warmth. Every accessory, every step, was part of a choreography designed to project confidence and dignity. And yet, there was an undercurrent of anticipation. An invisible tension that suggested something extraordinary might happen that night. Across the carpet, Kylie Jenner appeared almost like a force of nature. Unlike Meghan, Kylie's arrival demanded attention with almost supernatural ease. Cameras pivoted toward her, capturing the glint of her sequined gown, the perfectly styled hair, and the aura of calculated power she exuded. Her entourage moved like an extension of her presence, ensuring no disruption, no accidental breach of her carefully curated aura. She didn't need to speak. The world already watched, already reacted, already dissected her every move. And as Meghan approached, it became clear that these two worlds, royalty and pop culture royalty, were on a collision course. The tension between them was almost tangible. Meghan, polite but expectant, approached Kylie with a request that, in any other context, might seem trivial: a photograph. In the age of social media, selfies, and influencer culture, this was a simple gesture. A shared photo could signal friendship, acknowledgement, or mutual respect. It was common practice, almost ceremonial, in the world of Hollywood networking. But Kylie's response shattered the expected norms. With a dismissive glance and a curt, "I don't know you," she effectively ended the interaction before it began. The words were brief, almost casual, but they carried a weight that no one anticipated. Cameras captured the moment, and within seconds, the clip was destined to become a viral sensation. But before the shockwaves reached the internet, there was the immediate human reaction. Meghan's eyes widened slightly, the corners of her mouth tightening in a subtle attempt to maintain composure. Onlookers, other celebrities, event staff, photographers, caught the micro-expressions, the silent story unfolding in real time. Some gasped quietly, others froze, sensing that this was no ordinary celebrity interaction. Even in a world saturated with public spectacles, there are moments that stand out, moments that feel larger than the sum of their parts. This was one of them. As Meghan stepped back, trying to regain her poise, she couldn't ignore the ripple effect around her. The photographers had already pivoted to capture the aftermath, the subtle gestures, the shift in posture, the silent exchange of glances. Social media users watching the live feeds would later replay the clip frame by frame, dissecting every expression and gesture. But Meghan, present in the moment, was processing the experience in real time. It wasn't just embarrassment. It was the realization that, in this environment, perception could become reality in an instant. A single phrase, a fleeting glance, could define an entire narrative, and now, that narrative had been written before she even had the chance to respond. Meanwhile, Kylie moved on, seemingly unaffected, her path cleared by her entourage as she engaged with other celebrities and photographers. The fluidity of her presence suggested a mastery of control, how to command attention, how to dictate the pace of interactions, and how to maintain an image that bordered on untouchable. To the casual observer, it might have seemed effortless, but it was the result of years of understanding influence, perception, and the mechanics of social media fame. Each step, each smile, each subtle nod was calculated to reinforce her dominance in this ecosystem, a world that valued visibility, engagement, and influence above all else. Back on the carpet, Meghan tried to collect herself, aware of the audience and cameras trained on her. She continued through the crowd with practiced grace, but the encounter had left its mark. There was a subtle shift in the energy around her, a quiet acknowledgement from those watching that something unusual, perhaps unprecedented, had just occurred. For Meghan, the challenge now was not merely to maintain composure, but to navigate the remainder of the event under the shadow of that brief but devastating interaction. Observers at the premiere quickly picked up on the tension. A whispered comment here, a glance there, a subtle exchange between staff. These small, often overlooked details began to tell a story of power dynamics, hierarchy, and the fragility of social interactions in high-pressure environments. Every guest, whether celebrity, influencer, or journalist, became a participant in a larger narrative, consciously or unconsciously reacting to the tension that had been unleashed. And as the night unfolded, the story was only going to grow, amplified by social media, gossip columns, and the natural human fascination with conflict. By the time Meghan reached the main hall, the encounter was already being discussed among attendees. Some sympathized quietly, noting the awkwardness of being dismissed so publicly. Others viewed it as a calculated power move by Kylie, a demonstration of influence and social dominance. And some, perhaps, were simply entertained, reveling in the drama that had unfolded live before their eyes. For those on the outside, watching through live streams and early clips, the spectacle was irresistible. The blend of royal presence, celebrity dominance, and public humiliation created a perfect storm for virality. Yet, despite the humiliation, Meghan's determination remained. This was not a moment that would define her entirely. She moved through the event, engaging with other guests, responding to questions, and maintaining an air of grace that spoke to her experience in handling scrutiny. But the encounter had set the stage for the night's narrative. It was a collision of worlds, a clash of status, and a demonstration of how influence and perception operate in the high-stakes realm of celebrity culture. Even as conversations shifted to other topics, the memory of that moment lingered. Staff, attendees, and even the event organizers could not ignore the subtle tension that had been created. Cameras continued to capture moments, some mundane, some striking, but all framed by the invisible energy of that encounter. It was clear that this was not merely a passing incident. It was a defining moment, one that would resonate long after the final flashes had faded. And while the cameras rolled and the night proceeded, few could have anticipated the storm that was about to follow. Social media users, already awake and vigilant for viral content, would react in ways that were unpredictable, emotional, and sometimes merciless. News outlets would frame the interaction as a cultural moment, a clash between worlds, and a lesson in public perception. Memes, GIFs, and commentary would proliferate, creating a narrative that would dominate headlines and feeds alike. And at the center of it all, Meghan would have to navigate not just the event itself, but the aftermath that was already beginning to take shape. As the premiere reached its peak, the interaction replayed in the minds of those present. Guests whispered in corners, discussing the audacity, the social hierarchy, and the spectacle of it all. The encounter was no longer a fleeting moment. It had become a story in its own right, a lens through which the night, the event, and even celebrity culture itself could be examined. And yet, despite the intensity of the moment, the real story was still unfolding, hidden beneath layers of social dynamics, media frenzy, and human emotion. The night, full of glitz and glamour, had already delivered a dramatic twist that no one expected. And as Meghan continued through the event, she could sense the undercurrent of scrutiny, the silent judgments, and the inevitability that this moment would not be forgotten. The world had seen it, dissected it, and shared it, but the true consequences, both public and personal, were only beginning to emerge. The first encounter, fully expanding the moment Meghan approached Kylie for a photo, capturing tension, emotion, and suspense, and ending on a cliffhanger to drive the story forward. The air around the red carpet thickened in that brief moment, charged with anticipation that even the flashing cameras couldn't fully capture. Meghan had seen thousands of photographers, attended countless galas, and stood in the glare of the public eye enough times to understand how to present herself. Meghan approached, her heels clicking softly against the polished red carpet, each step measured, deliberate. She smiled, a gentle, composed expression designed to convey warmth and approachability. In the world of public figures, a smile is more than a facial expression. It's a tool, a shield, and sometimes a weapon. Her posture was perfect, shoulders back, head held high, the embodiment of poise. And yet, underneath that controlled exterior, there was a moment of anticipation. The kind of uncertainty that comes from not knowing how the person before you will react, especially when that person occupies an entirely different kind of fame. Kylie, for her part, didn't need to look up. She had felt the approach in subtle ways, a shift in energy, the faint sound of deliberate footsteps, the awareness of someone trying to enter her orbit. She glanced briefly, a micro-expression crossing her face, subtle, controlled, almost imperceptible, yet loaded with meaning. Kylie had spent years mastering the art of social interaction under the scrutiny of millions of followers. Every smile, every tilt of her head, every blink was part of a carefully calculated performance. In that instant, she made a choice that would define the encounter. A brief, dismissive acknowledgement, followed by words that would ricochet around the internet in minutes. "I don't know you." For Meghan, time seemed to slow. The phrase landed like a physical blow, succinct, cutting, and public. It wasn't an insult, not exactly. It was something more precise, more devastating. It was an erasure, a denial of presence, a refusal to validate her attempt at connection. The world around her seemed to momentarily blur. The flashing cameras, the glittering gowns, the murmured conversations, all of it faded into the background as the weight of those 3 words hit. There was shock, yes, but there was also a kind of surreal clarity. She had been dismissed, publicly and unequivocally, in a way that demanded attention, interpretation, and reaction. And yet, Meghan's response was not one of panic. In that moment, her training, experience, and composure kicked in. She managed a subtle tightening of her lips, a controlled nod that suggested acknowledgement without capitulation. Her eyes flicked briefly to the cameras, realizing with sharp precision that the world was already watching, that this moment would not remain private, and that every gesture from here on out would be dissected, analyzed, and shared. It was the beginning of a spectacle that would dominate headlines, social media feeds, and public conversations for days to come. The crowd around them reacted in ways that ranged from barely perceptible to overtly dramatic. Photographers, sensing a story bigger than the premiere itself, leaned in to capture every second. Reporters whispered into microphones, their voices tense with excitement. Other celebrities paused, curious and perhaps a little entertained, as they witnessed the collision of worlds, the poised royal and the untouchable social media icon. Whispers spread like wildfire, not just across the red carpet, but through the digital world almost instantly. Live feeds, Instagram stories, and early Twitter reactions began circulating even as the encounter unfolded. In a matter of seconds, the red carpet had transformed from a place of celebration into a stage for public spectacle, tension, and viral intrigue. The psychology of the moment is worth noting. For Meghan, this was not simply about a photo. It was about recognition, acknowledgement, and navigating the subtle hierarchies of celebrity. For Kylie, It was about control, influence, and maintaining an aura of dominance. Social psychologists might argue that what unfolded was a perfect case study in power dynamics and social validation. The rejection was less about Meghan personally and more about the systems of influence and perception that govern celebrity interactions. Yet, to the observer, or to Meghan herself, the humiliation felt deeply personal. And that personal sting, captured by cameras and microphones, was amplified exponentially by the instantaneous nature of social media. As Meghan processed the words, she instinctively considered her options. Retreating entirely could signal weakness, while pushing forward could escalate the encounter. In the microseconds of decision-making that felt like hours, she maintained an air of grace, her body language signaling neither aggression nor capitulation. It was a delicate balance. The maintenance of dignity under pressure, the kind of composure that has been honed through years of public appearances, interviews, and scrutiny. And yet, beneath the calm surface, there was an unmistakable ripple of emotion, surprise, hurt, and a flicker of indignation. Meanwhile, Kylie continued her movements with the effortless ease that had become her signature. The interaction, brief as it was, did not derail her trajectory on the red carpet. Cameras pivoted, fans cheered, and she engaged with other celebrities and media figures, maintaining control of the narrative in real time. Every glance and gesture reinforced her untouchable persona. In essence, Kylie had turned a single phrase into a demonstration of social power, a reminder of how influence can be wielded with precision in a world obsessed with visibility. But the story did not end there. What made the encounter so compelling was not just the words themselves, but the reverberations that followed. Photographers caught Meghan's subtle gestures afterward, the way she adjusted her gown, the tilt of her head, the faint tightening of her jaw. These micro-moments became talking points, dissected by social media users, fashion critics, and celebrity analysts alike. Every nuance was analyzed for insight into her emotional state. Every reaction measured against the viral response that had already begun to spread. The public reaction was immediate. Within minutes, clips of the encounter were uploaded online, and the digital ecosystem responded with remarkable speed. Fans expressed sympathy, critics debated Meghan's approach, and social media users marveled at the audacity of Kylie's dismissal. The incident transcended a simple celebrity interaction. It became a cultural flashpoint, a microcosm of the collision between traditional prestige, as embodied by Meghan, and modern social media dominance, represented by Kylie. Memes proliferated, GIFs were shared across platforms, and hashtags began trending, all focused on three simple words: I don't know you. Yet beneath the humor and spectacle, there was a deeper narrative unfolding. Meghan's experience highlighted the precarious nature of fame, the vulnerability inherent in seeking acknowledgement in a world where validation is both fleeting and essential. It also demonstrated the ways in which power is exercised subtly through language, posture, and social perception. Kylie's dismissal was brief, almost casual, but its impact was profound, illustrating the asymmetry of influence in celebrity culture. And as the red carpet continued, the encounter became the lens through which the rest of the night would be interpreted. Even the media's framing contributed to the growing narrative. Headlines and early reports emphasized the drama, using language that suggested confrontation, humiliation, and spectacle. Analysts speculated about intent, questioned motives, and debated the social etiquette of celebrity interactions. The story spread rapidly, not because of conflict alone, but because it encapsulated the tension between different forms of social capital. The inherited prestige of royalty versus the manufactured, curated influence of social media powerhouses. For Meghan, the challenge extended beyond the moment itself. She would have to navigate the remainder of the premiere under the weight of this incident, balancing composure with authenticity, engagement with discretion. It was a delicate dance, requiring both emotional intelligence and strategic awareness. Every handshake, every smile, every exchange with other attendees would now be filtered through the lens of what had just occurred, magnifying the pressure and scrutiny. But the encounter was only the beginning. The aftereffects would ripple far beyond the red carpet. Social media, press outlets, and online communities would dissect the event frame by frame. Memes and commentary would spread like wildfire, transforming a fleeting moment into a lasting cultural phenomenon. Observers would debate who won and who lost, who was justified and who had overstepped. And as Meghan continued through the event, she remained acutely aware that this single encounter had shifted the narrative, turning a night of celebration into a case study in power, perception, and public humiliation. As the cameras captured every remaining moment of the premiere, the impact of those 3 words, "I don't know you," continued to echo. The interaction had set the stage for the rest of the night, for the subsequent viral storm, and for the ongoing discourse that would dominate entertainment news for weeks. In the world of celebrity, moments like these are rare, electrifying, and unforgettable. And for Meghan Markle, the first encounter with Kylie Jenner at the Marty Supreme premiere would become a defining point, a collision of worlds, a clash of influence, and a story that the world could not look away from. The viral moment. This chapter will be fully fleshed out with storytelling, emotional spikes, social media dynamics, and cliffhanger tension, keeping the pacing dramatic and engaging. The moment that Kylie Jenner uttered the words, "I don't know you," didn't stay confined to the red carpet. Within minutes, the clip had leaped from the cameras to the digital world, spreading like wildfire across social media platforms. The viral machinery of modern fame was relentless, and it moved faster than any traditional media outlet could. Twitter feeds exploded with commentary, Instagram stories replayed the moment frame by frame, and TikTok creators remixed it into memes that were shared across millions of accounts. In the world of celebrity, a single interaction could define an entire narrative, and now, Meghan Markle and Kylie Jenner were at the center of one of the most talked about events of the year. The speed of the spread was staggering. News outlets quickly picked up the footage, embedding it in articles with headlines designed to maximize clicks. Kylie Jenner publicly snubs Meghan Markle at red carpet premiere. Royal meets social media queen. Humiliation ensues. Meghan rejected by Kylie. Internet reacts. Each outlet framed the story slightly differently, but the core narrative remained. A brief encounter that had escalated into global fascination. Within minutes, millions were watching, reacting, and sharing their opinions. The public response was intense and emotional. Fans of Meghan expressed shock and empathy, criticizing Kylie for her perceived arrogance and dismissiveness. Supporters of Kylie defended her, praising her confidence and dominance, suggesting that celebrities of her stature didn't owe interactions to anyone. Neutral observers debated etiquette, analyzing the social dynamics, the body language, and the subtle micro-expressions that defined the exchange. And through it all, the clip became more than just a fleeting moment. It became a cultural event, a lens through which the world could discuss fame, influence, and power. Social media, with its instantaneous reach and viral amplification, transformed the encounter into something larger than life. Memes proliferated, highlighting the contrast between Meghan's elegance and Kylie's casual dismissal. GIFs captured the subtle tightening of Meghan's lips, the brief flicker of surprise in her eyes, the composed stance she maintained despite the unexpected rebuff. Users across platforms dissected every detail, from Meghan's choice of gown to Kylie's posture, turning a brief exchange into hours of content. Some posts were sympathetic, others humorous, and still others critical, creating a kaleidoscope of public reaction that would dominate conversation for days. The viral moment didn't stop at social media. It quickly became fodder for entertainment news, late-night commentary, and celebrity gossip shows. Analysts debated the etiquette of such an encounter, comparing it to historical instances of public snubs, royal missteps, and celebrity rivalries. Each outlet emphasized different aspects. Some focused on Meghan's vulnerability, others on Kylie's dominance, and some highlighted the broader cultural significance of a royal princess being publicly dismissed by a social media mogul. It was a perfect storm, a convergence of fame, influence, and perception that few could ignore. And yet, beyond the spectacle, there were subtle nuances that made the moment unforgettable. Meghan's reaction, though composed, revealed the human element of the encounter. A fleeting moment of hurt, a hint of surprise, a subtle adjustment to maintain dignity. Kylie's response, carefully calibrated, reinforced her control over the situation, a demonstration of social power executed with precision. The contrast between the two figures, one navigating centuries of royal expectation, the other mastering the modern mechanics of social influence, was both striking and telling. It spoke to the evolving nature of fame and the complex dynamics of respect, acknowledgement, and hierarchy in the public eye. The viral nature of the clip also highlighted the role of timing and visibility in modern celebrity culture. In previous eras, a public snub might have been contained to a few witnesses or briefly reported in print. Today, with cameras everywhere and social media acting as both amplifier and judge, a single phrase could become a global story within minutes. The speed of the spread intensified the emotional impact, creating a feedback loop where public reaction influenced perception, which in turn shaped further commentary and engagement. Amid the chaos online, Meghan's team began to assess the situation. Publicists, advisors, and social media managers worked quickly to understand the narrative taking shape, to prepare statements if necessary, and to navigate the potential fallout. For someone who had long been under the glare of international attention, the viral moment was familiar in some ways, but uniquely intense in others. The immediacy of digital media meant that there was no buffer, no time to control the narrative before the world had already formed opinions. Every glance, every gesture, every word would be analyzed, judged, and disseminated at a speed that was both exhilarating and terrifying. Meanwhile, Kylie's camp observed the spread with a different perspective. The viral moment reinforced her public persona, confident, untouchable, and in control. In the modern ecosystem of celebrity, the ability to dominate attention, to create moments that resonate across platforms, is a form of power. And Kylie had done exactly that. The clip not only elevated her visibility, but also reinforced her status as a social media queen capable of commanding attention without effort. It was a masterclass in the mechanics of modern fame, a demonstration of how influence can be asserted through a single, well-timed phrase. The public discourse expanded further as memes, GIFs, and reaction videos evolved into commentary, analysis, and speculation. Influencers dissected the interaction, recreating the scene in videos and images. Fans created side-by-side comparisons of Meghan's and Kylie's expressions, analyzing posture, eye contact, and subtle gestures. Hashtags trended globally, sparking debates about etiquette, respect, and the interplay of traditional prestige versus social media clout. What started as a fleeting red carpet moment had become a full-blown cultural phenomenon, illustrating the power of visibility and the fragility of public perception in the age of viral media. Yet, amid the humor and commentary, there was a lingering question: what would this moment mean for Meghan in the long term? Public humiliation, even brief, can have ripple effects on reputation, perception, and personal confidence. While some celebrated her composure, others scrutinized her every move following the encounter, interpreting subtle gestures as signs of weakness or resilience. The intensity of the viral moment meant that Meghan's next appearances, statements, and public actions would all be viewed through the lens of that single exchange, amplifying the stakes and pressure in ways that were hard to predict. For Kylie, the viral moment was a reaffirmation of her dominance, but it also carried its own risks. In the age of social media, the public can be as unforgiving as it is adoring. Every action can be dissected, every word scrutinized, every moment amplified. Yet Kylie navigated this with the skill of someone accustomed to the spotlight, understanding that influence is both wielded and protected carefully, that public perception is a currency, and that control over narrative is often the key to maintaining power. As the red carpet footage continued to circulate, the story took on a life of its own. Fans, celebrities, and media outlets engaged in endless debate, dissecting motives, reactions, and the underlying social dynamics. It became a case study in modern fame, how a single encounter, amplified by technology and social attention, can define narratives, influence perception, and dominate public conversation. The interplay of humiliation, dominance, and media amplification created a perfect storm, a viral moment that no one involved could ignore. And as the digital world erupted, Meghan could only process the reality of what had just occurred. She had approached politely, seeking acknowledgement, hoping for a simple photograph. Instead, she had been dismissed in a way that was both public and definitive. The humiliation was immediate, undeniable, and amplified by every device and screen watching in real time. Yet, as the viral clip spread, a quiet determination began to form, a recognition that this moment, as shocking as it was, would not define her entirely. It was a challenge, an inflection point, and a moment to recalibrate, to navigate the complex landscape of modern celebrity with both poise and strategy. But just as the world seemed to have digested the initial shock, new reactions began to emerge. Influencers and tabloids dug deeper. Fans speculated wildly, and insiders hinted at details that had been overlooked in the first viral wave. What initially appeared to be a simple rejection was evolving into a multi-layered narrative filled with intrigue, power plays, and unforeseen consequences. And what came next would escalate the drama even further, proving that a single viral moment can be just the opening act in a story that refuses to be forgotten. Meghan's side of the story. This chapter will focus on Meghan's perspective, emotions, and response after the red carpet incident, adding depth, introspection, and suspense while keeping it engaging for the audience. The flash of cameras had faded, but the intensity of the moment lingered. Backstage, in a quieter corner of the Marty Supreme premiere, Meghan Markle could finally exhale, or at least attempt to. The red carpet had been relentless, a gauntlet of photographers, reporters, and onlookers, each hungry for a glimpse, a reaction, a scandalous soundbite. But in the privacy of a side room, away from the relentless lenses, Meghan could process what had just happened. And what had happened was both simple and devastating. Kylie Jenner, in a few cold words, had publicly dismissed her, turning a simple request for a photograph into a viral humiliation. Meghan's thoughts swirled. She had anticipated some tension. These were high-profile events, after all, but nothing could have prepared her for the sheer finality of Kylie's response. "I don't know you." The words were so short, so sharp, and yet they carried a weight that extended far beyond the red carpet. It wasn't just rejection. It was erasure, a statement that her presence, her efforts to connect, her status as a public figure, could be invalidated in an instant. Meghan had faced scrutiny her entire life, from the paparazzi to the tabloids, from the British press to international gossip sites. But this was different. This was not analysis or speculation. It was a direct, public, unambiguous dismissal, amplified by every camera and social media feed. Sitting behind the scenes, Meghan's mind raced. Was it possible that Kylie truly didn't recognize her? Or was this a calculated move, an assertion of dominance, a way to reinforce social hierarchies that exist even in celebrity culture? The distinction mattered. If Kylie didn't know her, then the incident was unfortunate but forgivable. If it was intentional, then it was a deliberate humiliation designed to assert power, and the implications were far more troubling. Meghan had to analyze every detail: Kylie's expression, the tone of her voice, the body language that accompanied the words. Each element was a clue, a piece of the puzzle she needed to understand what had truly occurred. But Meghan was no stranger to public scrutiny or moments of humiliation. She had learned over the years to navigate the complex intersections of fame, power, and perception. Yet even experience has its limits. The backstage environment, though quieter, offered no escape from the mental replay of the encounter. She could feel the moment over and over. The subtle hesitation in Kylie's eyes, the shift of her posture, the casual dismissal in her tone. Each memory struck with renewed intensity, a reminder that in the digital age, humiliation is rarely private and never fleeting. Her inner circle, advisors, friends, and security, quickly gathered around. They offered reassurances, strategies, and emotional support, but Meghan knew that words alone could not erase the sting. The viral clip was already circulating online, and the court of public opinion had begun to weigh in. Some defended her, empathizing with the audacity of the snub. Others critiqued her approach, questioning whether she had been too forward or presumptuous. And still others celebrated Kylie's dominance, framing it as a lesson in power dynamics and celebrity etiquette. Every perspective added pressure. Every opinion shaped the narrative, and Meghan felt the weight of it all pressing in. As she reflected, Meghan considered the broader implications. This was not just a personal moment. It was a public display that would be analyzed, dissected, and debated endlessly. In the age of viral media, a single interaction can define perception in ways unimaginable just a decade ago. She knew that her next steps would be critical, not only for her public image, but for her own sense of agency in the narrative. Every statement, every appearance, every engagement moving forward would be filtered through the lens of this encounter. The stakes were higher than ever, and the consequences potentially lasting. Emotionally, Meghan experienced a complex mix. There was frustration at the dismissal, hurt at the public nature of it, and a flicker of indignation that demanded acknowledgement. But there was also clarity. She understood that the situation, while uncomfortable, was also a reflection of the rules governing social power, influence, and public perception. In celebrity culture, influence is currency, and visibility is power. Kylie had asserted her dominance in a way that was unmistakable, leveraging her social clout to dictate the terms of the interaction. Meghan had been caught off guard, but she knew that understanding this dynamic was the first step toward reclaiming control. Behind the scenes, Meghan began to strategize. She could not control the initial viral spread, but she could manage the aftermath. Every interview, every public appearance, every social media post would now carry added significance. Timing, tone, and framing became paramount. She would need to carefully navigate the narrative, balancing grace with assertiveness, empathy with authority. The goal was not retaliation. It was reclamation, a demonstration that while she might have been dismissed in a fleeting moment, she was far from powerless in shaping her public image. Even as she considered her options, Meghan's thoughts returned to the personal impact. Public humiliation, especially in such a stark, visible form, leaves traces that go beyond reputation. It can shake confidence, erode trust, and provoke introspection about one's own approach to public interactions. Meghan had experienced this before, but the combination of Kylie's dominance, the viral amplification, and the instantaneous judgment of the public created a unique challenge. It was a test of resilience, poise, and the ability to navigate adversity with intelligence and grace. In those moments, Meghan also reflected on the nature of celebrity culture itself. Power is fluid, influence is relative, and social hierarchies shift rapidly depending on visibility, perception, and public engagement. Kylie had leveraged her platform and status to assert dominance, but the event also revealed vulnerabilities in the ecosystem. Public opinion can shift, viral moments can turn, and influence can be challenged in unexpected ways. Meghan understood that this encounter, while personally uncomfortable, was also an opportunity to study the mechanics of fame, to observe how power is exercised, and to prepare for the inevitable responses and counter-narratives. Emotionally, Meghan allowed herself a brief acknowledgement of hurt. Even the most composed individuals are human, and recognition of personal feelings is not weakness, it is preparation. The sting of dismissal, the unexpectedness of public humiliation, and the sudden viral exposure all created a heightened emotional state. Meghan's resilience would be tested not only in public perception, but in her ability to process and respond strategically. Her team, aware of the unfolding viral storm, coordinated responses. Some proposed statements. Others suggested strategic appearances to shift narrative focus. Social media teams monitored trends, analyzing hashtags, sentiment, and engagement patterns. Every action, every word, every choice was deliberate, intended to mitigate damage, reclaim narrative, and assert agency over a situation that had initially been beyond her control. Yet, despite planning and strategy, Meghan recognized the unpredictability of the next hours. Social media moves at a speed impossible to contain, and public reactions can be wildly varied, emotional, and uncontrollable. Every meme, every clip, every article had the potential to influence perception, sometimes in ways that strategy cannot anticipate. In that moment, she realized the delicate balance she had to maintain. Preserving dignity, asserting agency, and navigating a public narrative that was already taking on a life of its own. Even as the night progressed, Meghan's mind remained focused on the implications. This wasn't merely a viral incident. It was a lesson in influence, perception, and power dynamics. Kylie had shown the world how a single phrase, delivered with precision, could command attention and shape narrative. Meghan now faced the challenge of reclaiming narrative without descending into public conflict, a task requiring strategy, emotional intelligence, and an understanding of the ecosystem in which both figures operated. And yet, as Meghan prepared to leave the premiere, the weight of the viral moment hung over her. The cameras had captured it, social media had amplified it, and the world was already talking. But she knew one thing with certainty. This moment, as public and humiliating as it had been, was only the beginning of a story far larger than a red carpet interaction. It was a collision of worlds, a demonstration of modern influence, and a test of personal resilience. What Meghan didn't know, however, was that the next twist in this unfolding drama would come not from social media or the press, but from inside the world of celebrities themselves. Alliances, rivalries, and unexpected reactions were already forming, and when they emerged, they would shock everyone, even her. Social media eruption. This chapter will focus on the instant online explosion, fan reactions, influencer commentary, and the escalating viral narrative, building suspense and emotional intensity while ending on a cliffhanger. As the cameras on the red carpet cooled, the virtual cameras of the world lit up. The moment Kylie Jenner dismissed Meghan Markle with the chilling words, "I don't know you," had already begun its rapid migration from tape to tweet, from clip to story, from fleeting interaction to global spectacle. Social media, the ever-hungry ecosystem of fame and attention, was in overdrive. Every platform, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and emerging apps, was awash with the footage, each iteration dissected, remixed, and debated by millions around the world. The eruption was instantaneous, overwhelming, and relentless. Within minutes, hashtags were trending globally. Hashtag Kylie snubs Meghan. Hashtag I don't know you. Hashtag red carpet drama. Hashtag royal versus social queen. All became digital signposts of a cultural moment that no one could ignore. Fans and detractors alike mobilized, sharing clips, memes, reaction videos, and commentary, fueling an endless loop of attention and engagement. Influencers, content creators, and social media personalities joined the frenzy, analyzing frame by frame, predicting motives, and speculating on hidden meanings behind every gesture. In this digital environment, a single phrase had transformed into a story that the world could not look away from. The reactions were immediate and emotional. Meghan supporters expressed outrage on Twitter, criticizing Kylie for what they deemed a humiliating and unnecessary snub. How dare she treat royalty like that? One user typed, their words laced with indignation. Another posted, Meghan stayed poised while Kylie literally humiliated her. This is iconic in the worst way. Sympathy poured in, accompanied by hashtags and viral GIFs replaying Meghan's moment of composure in slow motion, emphasizing her grace under pressure. For some, the incident became a symbol of unfairness in celebrity culture. A reminder that even those with royal pedigree could be made to feel small in the face of modern fame. Meanwhile, Kylie's followers defended her actions with equal fervor. She doesn't owe anyone a photo, one fan posted. Kylie is untouchable. Respect the power. Another wrote, she set the tone. If you want clout, earn it. Meghan approached her uninvited. Deal with it. In the digital age, loyalty often divides audiences into camps of fervent support and heated opposition, each feeding the other with content, commentary, and analysis. And with millions of eyes glued to the clips, the viral moment escalated beyond entertainment into cultural debate. TikTok, with its short-form content and algorithmic amplification, became a particularly potent amplifier. Users recreated the red carpet moment, dramatizing it for comedic or dramatic effect, often exaggerating expressions and gestures to heighten tension. Some creators inserted memes of famous movie snubs, historical dismissals, or fictional scenarios, drawing analogies between Kylie's words and legendary moments of rejection. The platform's format, favoring virality and repeat engagement, ensured that each reinterpretation of the clip reached new audiences, expanding the story's footprint far beyond the initial event. Instagram stories and reels offered yet another vector. Influencers stitched the red carpet footage with reaction videos, overlaying commentary, emojis, and animated text to emphasize Meghan's stunned expression and Kylie's controlled dominance. Stories were shared and reshared at a dizzying pace, creating a constant stream of content that reinforced the narrative and kept the event alive in public consciousness. Comment sections exploded with debate, personal anecdotes, and speculative analysis. Users argued over etiquette, social hierarchy, and the implications of the moment for both women's public images. The eruption wasn't limited to fans or influencers. It quickly drew mainstream media attention. Entertainment news outlets, late-night shows, and digital publications scrambled to cover the event, often using the viral clip as the centerpiece of their stories. Headlines ranged from sensationalist, "Kylie publicly humiliates Meghan," to analytical, "The red carpet snub that changed celebrity dynamics forever." Each article amplified the social media frenzy, feeding the viral loop in a feedback mechanism that ensured the story's endurance. The interplay between social media and traditional media created a perfect storm, turning a fleeting red carpet moment into a multi-layered cultural phenomenon. Amid the chaos online, the nature of audience engagement became fascinating. Users didn't just consume the content, they actively participated, injecting their own narratives, interpretations, and emotions. Polls emerged asking, "Who won the encounter?" Reaction compilations flooded YouTube, comparing Meghan and Kylie's reactions frame by frame. Social commentary dissected body language, posture, microexpressions, and even fashion choices, debating what each signaled about confidence, power, and social dominance. In essence, the red carpet incident became a living, breathing narrative shaped collectively by millions of participants worldwide. The emotional spikes of the eruption were palpable. Supporters of Meghan expressed outrage and indignation, some even framing Kylie's dismissal as an attack on royalty, status, or decorum. Others found empowerment in Meghan's composure, celebrating her poise under public scrutiny. Kylie supporters framed the moment as a demonstration of confidence, independence, and social hierarchy mastery, praising her for standing her ground. The resulting discourse wasn't just about the individuals involved, it touched on broader themes. The shifting balance of power in celebrity culture, the role of social media in amplifying influence, and the ways public perception can be shaped by a few seconds of footage. Even brands and corporate sponsors noticed the viral wave. Some shared posts celebrating Kylie's influence, leveraging the moment for engagement. Others subtly shifted campaigns to reference the incident, turning a red carpet snub into marketing content. The commercial and promotional ramifications highlighted how modern celebrity culture operates. Visibility is value, virality is currency, and every public interaction has ripple effects that extend far beyond the immediate participants. Meghan's camp, meanwhile, was forced into rapid assessment mode. Social media managers, publicists, and advisors monitored trends, engagement, and sentiment, trying to understand the trajectory of the viral moment. Statements were prepared, messaging was considered, and strategies for narrative reclamation were discussed. But even the most careful planning could not fully anticipate the unpredictability of social media. Audiences react in unexpected ways, and a viral moment can evolve into a narrative monster almost instantly. Every post, tweet, or story could either mitigate the impact or exacerbate it, adding pressure to Meghan and her team to navigate this digital maelstrom with precision. The viral eruption also sparked debates across commentary forums and celebrity podcasts. Analysts compared this encounter to historical snubs, famous celebrity rivalries, and royal scandals. Was this moment an extension of Kylie's calculated persona, a lesson in social dominance, or a mere coincidence? Some commentators suggested it revealed the tensions between traditional fame and social media clout, an emblematic collision between inherited prestige and curated influence. Others framed it as a personal slight, emphasizing the emotional stakes for Meghan. Across platforms, the story grew more layered, more dramatic, and more compelling. And as the eruption continued, the viral momentum showed no signs of slowing. Each new share, each comment, each meme added to the story, amplifying it in ways that were impossible to predict. For Meghan, the challenge was not only managing the public narrative, but maintaining her own composure amidst the relentless scrutiny. Every glance at a notification, every alert of a new trending hashtag, reminded her that the encounter had left a mark far beyond the red carpet. The world had witnessed it, dissected it, and now participated in it. The story was no longer hers alone. It belonged to the public, the media, and the endless digital platforms that shaped modern perception. But just as the social media frenzy reached its peak, something unexpected began to emerge. New reactions, alliances, and insider information hinted at twists no one had anticipated. The viral eruption was only the beginning. What had seemed like a simple snub was evolving into a multidimensional drama that threatened to escalate beyond the digital world and into real-life consequences for both Meghan and Kylie. Celebrity commentary and hidden reactions. This chapter will focus on the reactions from other celebrities, insiders, and influencers, adding layers of intrigue, gossip, and anticipation, while ending on a cliffhanger. As the social media storm raged, the incident on the red carpet drew attention from